everybody, Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. Always great to be with you. Hope you're doing really good today, wherever you may be in the world. We're going to start a brand new teaching today entitled Forgiven. Oh, Lord, Pastor, we're going to talk about forgiveness. Absolutely, but we're going to do this in a very different way because I want you to understand something so important. This word, forgiveness, if you will, it's a very difficult subject. It is a divisive subject because for some it's a true struggle. For others it's a controversy. Why? Because most often it is centered around the emotional context that is involved. Because on one end we have the question, how could I? I mean, they did this and they did that. They really hurt me. We could come up with 1,000 different reasons why the idea of forgiving is nearly impossible. All these different reasons that we just can't fathom the idea. Our heart just can't do it. And if we ponder on that long enough, we find ways to justify those thoughts of why we can, why we can't, all the different things. In this study, though, I want to flip the card. I want to turn it to the other side of that. And I want us to begin to look at things from an entirely different perspective. I want us to look at the receiving end rather than the giving. Now I've got your attention. Where is he going to go with this? What does this even mean? Friends, when we begin to look at the person, the character, the workings, the teachings, the life of Christ, we begin to see something entirely different than anything that we typically hear and if you followed me long enough, you know that I don't use the word religion a lot because it's something that I detest, because it is so divisive. But when we only hear of Jesus in a religious context, meaning the doomer and dammer and finger pointer and you better, and the things that have been built around that mentality, we don't see the real thing. We don't grasp what has really been presented to us, what we begin to understand as relatable. Because that's what he wanted. Think about his words. I want you to be like me and the Father. I want us to be one. I want us to walk through this thing together. I want to be there for you. When we begin to understand that we can build everything that we believe, everything that we trust and hold on to in the person of Christ, not a system, certainly nothing that has been organized and under a banner. No. Who is this? And what does this do for me? Where is the benefit? And this is not about the modern time of what do I get out of this, but rather, what have I received? Do we stop sometimes to realize the benefits that we've already been given, but we don't exercise in, we don't walk in? When we come to understand as his, those of us who love him and come to know him, and it is my prayer that through this many more will, because I want you to understand who he really is and what he represents, then we begin to understand that forgiveness is something we receive before we can give. When we understand what God has given us through Christ, we begin to understand forgiveness equals freedom. Forgiveness equals the ability to move on. See, what we learn when we begin to understand the life of Christ is that Jesus did not just teach grace. No, friends, he lived it out. He lived it out. He truly is our greatest example, by far, no question about it. I want to use as our backdrop, in the context of this teaching lesson, a very familiar story. We're going to go back and we're going to look at a passage, if you will, from the book of Luke, chapter 7. Just a couple of verses. And I'm going to read those to you as we look on this. All right, so Luke chapter 7. This is what it says. Then he said to her, and I'll go back and explain who her is in just a little bit. We're going to look through this story very deeply over the next several lessons together in this brand new teaching series, Forgiven. Understand there's a reason that I chose that word, forgiven, rather than forgiving. Two very different things. And I want us to be able to understand not only the difference between those two words, but the power of the difference between those two words. Okay, so Jesus said to her, "Your sins are forgiven." That is the reception of something, right? Okay. Those who were at the table. So this was done in front of others. This was not a secret thing. This was not those that were at the table with him began to say among themselves, "Who is this man who even forgives sins?" Now, that was not a statement of amazement. That was a statement of anger. That was a statement of confusion. That was a statement of condemnation, because they were not looking at him in a favorable way when he said this. Because under the dogmatic, legalistic, everybody's wrong, everybody's doomed, it's over mentality, which still exists today, they didn't get. That was his entire mission, is to let us know the truth. They didn't want that. Why? Because Jesus said later, as is recorded in the book of John, the truth will make you free. They said, "Who is this man who even forgives sins?" Did he respond to them? No. He was talking to her. And he said to her, "Your faith has saved you." That word is important because oftentimes in the context of the church environment, we hear that word saved and we equate it to some type of religious experience or this. The word saved means you've been rescued. You've been spared from danger. Your life is new. And he says to her, "Go in peace." Friends, I'm telling you, I am really excited about this teaching series that we're going to do now over the next several days together, because when we begin to see things through the eyes of this young lady and we begin to see the words of Jesus, not the things that we've just always been told. You see, there's been an entirely different picture painted than the picture that we were intended to see. Manipulation is one of those things that damages everything. Let the picture be there. Let it be exactly what it's supposed to be, because oftentimes it doesn't need any improvement. And so we see this beautiful, beautiful teaching that we're about to jump into here in Forgiven. When we begin to look deeper at this one who said, "Follow me," then we begin to learn so many different things, and we begin to ask so many different questions, and we begin to see, wait a minute, how did he operate? Is it what I've always been told, or am I finding something completely different? These are the questions we're going to answer in this new teaching. What message do we find in the words of Jesus and how he talked to others that should bring us comfort today? Join me for the next episode, whatever we want to call it, of Making It Simple as soon as we return. It'll either be tomorrow or Thursday as we pick back up on this new teaching, Forgiven. And I believe with all my heart, it's going to change your life. God bless you. Have a great day.